or I think the third week now of Carnivore Mastermind, new series here on this channel. It's every Thursday at 6 p.m. And every Thursday I'll be inviting different carnivore channels to join me for the topic of the week in discussion. And I also ask for your input in the poll of the week. So this is the point of this is to kind of get lots of different opinions, comments, and questions related to one subject per week, and then we can all give our input, and with the goal of getting as much information and nuance out there as possible, so we can help the most people feel their best on this way of eating. So we all have kind of different backgrounds, different reasons why we came to carnivore or ketovore, low carb. And so I think probably now you're familiar with some of my guests who've been here since day one, but why don't we start by just going around and everybody can introduce themselves and their channel. And we may have a few other people popping in and out today. I think someone actually just did pop in here. Yep, there he is. Larry's here too.
How's it going, all?
Hey.
So the topic this week is fasting, meal timing, eating windows, kind of anything to do with that. And I asked for your input in the poll as far as what you guys do. Are you intermittent fasting, too mad? So I guess I'll pull that up here first real quick. If I remember how to do it. There we go. So this was a result of the poll. We got 438 votes this week. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And we had a pretty close, almost a tie here between 39% saying that it's different all the time. Yes, honey. Sorry. You just kind of eat when you're hungry, and 36% coming in a close second with like a two meal a day intermittent fasting. Sorry, we've got a little bumper here on the side, the sideshow here. And then third place was 14% with 1 meal a day, or OMAD. And then the fourth option was, or the fourth place was 8% with 3 meals a day. So typically no structured intermittent fasting. And then other, you could leave a comment. We got lots of interesting comments as well. So we could go through some of those, but let's go around the circle and get all of your comments and feedback. So introduce yourself in your channel, and then what do you think about fasting? What's your eating window like? And has it changed since you started versus now? Anything you'd like to discuss there? So we'll start with Ellie.
Okay, sure. Hi, my name is Ellie. If we haven't met before, I have a 3.5-year-old daughter and a 1.5-year-old son. I'm married, and we're pursuing like the meat-based carnivore lifestyle together. And I'm sharing my carnivore journey through overcoming obesity, mental health issues, and I just want to be your friend and share all the wonderful benefits that I've found on all with keto but currently the carnivore diet. And I'm really simple. I usually eat when I'm hungry, but it ends up being 3 meals a day because I talked about this on a previous episode. I did a lot of calorie restriction in my previous lifestyle, which was not a lifestyle at all. It was like, being a hot mess, basically, the standard American diet. And now I feel like I can eat until I'm full. And so I thought the poll was really interesting that the one I voted for was 3 square meals was actually quite low. I was thinking that maybe people would eat more, considering like this is more of like a non-restrictive kind of way of eating. Even though the types of food is smaller, I feel like we eat more because we feel fulfilled. And and I made a really bad joke on there. I was like, why is it called 3 square meals a day if it's when food is usually on a round plate? I didn't get any answers for that one. So
I know why.
Oh, you do? Tell me.
The square meals?
Yeah, why is it called a square meal?
It's back before the food pyramid, we ate square meals. And the square meals was equal portions of meat, carbohydrates, grains, and dessert or whatever. I forget the other one was. But basically, your plate should be a square. So it's just it was a little healthier because it wasn't low fat, but I mean, it's just a gimmick to help people try to eat all the foods they need to eat. I guess that the government says, because the government's so trustworthy, we can trust with everything.
Yeah.
That they just should tell us what to eat, and we should just follow their lead. I mean, that's
Well,
proven
now
science.
yeah, exactly. I'm a little smarter now. Thank you, Larry. And yeah,
I'm just old. That's why I know.
So I appreciate that. And yeah, I've done fasting previously. When I first stepped into the scene on the ketogenic lifestyle, that was back in like 2018. I found keto and I was like tracking everything still. And I did 16-8. And I did that for quite a while. I think the longest fast I had was like, I mean, it's nothing compared to Brett, but I think it was like 20 hours. And I usually feel pretty crummy on a fast, you know. So that's about it for me.
Cool. We'll go to Robin next.
Hi, you guys. Robin Heron. This is Robin Heron, your carnivorous grandma here. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, Neah, again for the invitation. I really love this forum to be able to talk about different topics and get different viewpoints on all these different concerns, issues, you know, ways that we are living these days. For me, on my channel, I am focusing a lot on having conversations with physicians and other practitioners, as well as a lot of interviews with everyday carnivores or ketovores or ketoers, you know, because I'm really focused on getting the word out about the proper human diet. And I really feel a gap, especially in the African American and people of color community, where there's not a lot of people of color talking about carnivore. So that's why I kind of have my channel is, and I really feel like what I know about in my community is that we focus a lot on what our doctors say. We trust what they say and what they tell us. And so that is why I'm really, really keen on talking with people who have authority to speak. So, this weekend, I am going to be interviewing Dr. Chafee. He's going to be the 5th doctor that I will have interviewed. So I'm super excited to meet him and talk to him and pick his brain. So regarding fasting, so I've been a faster for quite some time. Actually, we do spiritual fasting in my church, and we have been doing that. I've been doing that for 30 years. So at least once a year, we will do we used to do like a 40-day intermittent fast, but now we're down to 21 days of intermittent fasting. And by that, I mean, we're fasting from like midnight till 12 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Some people go to 6. I usually try to do a full fast at the beginning of the year. So this year, I think I did 5 days, but I've done up to 7 or 10 days in the past. So I kind of have been into intermittent fasting for quite some time. I actually read a lot about this. I read Dr. Jason Fung's book several years back, The Ultimate Guide to Fasting. I actually started out with the obesity code, which talked a little bit about fasting, but then I was like so intrigued by the whole fasting piece that I really read his book, The Ultimate Guide to Fasting, which was so good and explained all the mechanism of fasting and why fasting is not starving and things like that. So I do fast from time to time. I do full fasts from time to time. And then on a daily basis, though, I'm doing like 2 meals a day, typically. I'm like Ellie, I eat when I'm hungry. And that typically means that I'm eating like 2 times a day. Very little snacking, although I do find myself snacking on occasion. And when I do snack, it's on something like pork rinds or something like that. But I mostly do. I used to do the intermittent fasting, the count the hours and all that kind of thing. I don't really count the hours anymore. Um, I just when I feel hungry, so now this is really different from the way I used to be about food, right? Because I would wake up in the morning with that obsessing over the food. What am I going to eat? What are we going to have? How many times am I going to eat? Do I need to go to the store? On and on and on. I'm doing the crazy circle because yes, it felt crazy. Completely obsessive about what I was going to eat from the time I wake up in the morning to the time I go to bed. So this is totally a different vibe. Like I can wake up in the morning. Sometimes I get hungry at 9 and I eat at 9. Sometimes I get hungry at 11 or 12. I eat 11 or 12. Sometimes I don't get hungry till later in the day, 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So I don't eat till then. So I kind of, I guess, do the intuitive fasting and intuitive eating where when I start thinking about food, I know that, okay, it's probably getting close to time for me to eat. And, so in the morning time, I'm not thinking about what am I going to eat? What am I going to have for lunch? What am I going to have for dinner? So unless I'm preparing something for my channel, then I'm like thoughtful about, okay, what am I going to make? What do the people want to see? And getting ready for that. But the whole fasting thing it's really good. I was talking with Dr. Kiltz a couple of months ago, and Dr. Kiltz really said to me that we need to give our gut a rest. And you're not really fasting until your gut is empty, and it takes like a couple of days for that to happen. So what we're calling intermittent fasting, Dr. Kiltz would not call that fasting at all. He says that when you're fasting, your gut should be resting. So that's my philosophy. I just eat when I'm hungry, and I don't eat if I'm not hungry, and I'm loving life this way. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right, let's go to Christy next.
Hey everybody, I'm Christy. My channel is Meeting Wellness, and I do some similar things to Robin. I interview a lot of people about their stories, and I also do a weekly live stream with Ellie up there in the center top row. It's called Lioness Lifestyle Live. It's every single Tuesday where we focus on meat-based eating and women's health specifically. And so that's been something that I really look forward to every single week. And then I do some recipes and some things like that as well. Most recently, my son has joined me in this meat-based way of eating. So I've done some things with that, the kind of food that I'm making for him, and how he is doing, which is really exciting, really exciting. He's just, it's a night and day difference. Anyways, as far as fasting goes, so I started keto last year in February, and very quickly got into all the channels, hearing about Dr. Fung and fasting, and how supposedly that there's all these benefits from fasting. And so I gave it a try. I did a couple of fasts, 24 hours, 36 hours during that time, and similar to Ellie, I just never felt great. I felt kind of weak, kind of shaky, headachy. I made it because it's like, if I decide I'm going to do something, I do it, but it was misery the whole time. Pretty much. And then recently with Robin, when Robin did her fast at the beginning of the year, I was like, all right, Robin, I've never done 48. Let's try 48. And I did the 48, but it was all the things I just said. So I would say on a regular basis, I do kind of like an intermittent fast. I was very similar to Robin. Again, I used to count the hours, like I would put it on the app or something. So I'd be timing, and after 16 or 18 or whatever it was going to be, I would time it. Now it's not so much that. I just eat when I'm a teacher. So when I get home from school, which is, fairly early in the day. So about 3:30 is when I eat for the last time. So I've already eaten my last meal for today, and then I'll eat again tomorrow, but it'll be when I get hungry. So I don't necessarily push it to lunch. If I'm not hungry till lunch, that's fine. If I feel hungry in the morning before school, or sometimes I'll even eat at recess, which is about 9:40 or so. So it really just depends on when I get hungry, and then I'll generally eat two meals. So one in the morning or lunchtime, and then one when I get home from school. But that's because that's when I'm hungry. I'm not against fasting. I think if people enjoy it, do well with, like, I wish I could do well with it, because I do believe those benefits, like the autophagy, the mitophagy, which I'm sure we'll be getting into, I think those are real things. But I've also listened to doctors like Dr. Bright talking about, especially with women, with our hormones and our thyroid, and if those things are not in check, then sometimes fasting can be like way too stressful, like on our adrenals and things like that. And I think maybe that's where I am. I say maybe because I probably should get some testing done to see if that's where I am on my hormones and thyroid. But I'm thinking that's maybe why, I struggle with it. So that's where I stand currently.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, scooting over to Brett. Who's your
Yeah, hey everybody. My name's Brett. Who's your carnivore? That's the name of my YouTube channel. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I just had my 1-year carniversary. 1 year doing carnivore. So been enjoying it. It's been a great year, and I feel really good. Haven't achieved all the weight loss that I want to do, but this is a marathon, not a sprint. So I'm okay with it. I feel good. I think my body's like configuring, slimming down, because I went back before my 1 year and I looked at some of my videos from when I first started the channel, and I can definitely tell I look different now than I did back in August. So pretty happy with that. So as far as fasting goes for me, I do 2 meals a day. Have done it most of my carnivore journey. There's been a few times where I'll do 1 meal a day for a few weeks, and then I'll go back to 2. I'll try to change it up. I fast fairly often, anywhere from 2 to 3 or 4 days. Maybe every couple of months I'll do something like that. But at the first of the year, I did do a 12-day fast from January 1st. And it was mostly pleasant. The first couple of days were rough with hunger pains, but ended up going 12 days. And I got videos about it if you want to check, if anybody's interested in going back and seeing how I did for that. But I'm a big fan of fasting. I'm a fan of Jason Fung, also known as the Funkster, on his channel. And I love, like Christy said, all the benefits that you get with autophagy and mitophagy, cell regeneration, human growth hormone, all those things that just massively increase while you're fasting. So there are, quite a few benefits. If you can do it, Christy said, she had a tough time going, more than a day or so before she started feeling bad. So, fasting, I found that fasting is like a muscle. The more you do it and the longer you go, the longer you can go the next time. So I looked at this poll and I was kind of surprised that there weren't more two meals a day people, because it seems like everyone you hear from in the carniverse, that we all end up going to like a 1 or 2 meal per day regimen. So, but I generally do like an 18-6. So I'll eat, like today I had my lunch around 11, and then 11 or 12, and then when I got home I made dinner and finished eating about 6:30 before the live started here. So about 18 hours fasting, 6 hours eating in the eating window, but I only eat twice in the eating window. But the 3 squares and the just eat when I'm hungry, I'm wondering if that's people kind of following Dr. Berry's advice. Just eat when you're hungry, eat till you're full, and then just wait until you're hungry again. So I don't know if the eat until you're hungry, if those people are actually eating twice a day or once a day, but I get why they would do that. Do we know what some of the others were on the leave comment? I didn't see the leave comment ones.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, there were a variety of responses in the comments. I would say, yeah, a lot of it is people saying like well, here we have one, OMAD the last 6 years, OMAD carnivore since January 1st, fasting several times in the last few months from 48 to 96 hours. But I feel like a lot of people really were leaning on that intuitive thing. It's like, I might do OMAD. Escape the Matrix said OMAD, 2MAD depends on how I feel.
Yeah.
Somebody said alternate day fasting, probably eating in 8 hours. So quite a variety, actually.
Yeah. And the intuitive eating thing, I totally get that. That's just following your hunger cues. If your body's hungry, then feed it. If you're not truly hungry, then don't eat and just wait until you're actually hungry. So, but I think a lot of our schedules and jobs and things has a big effect on when we can eat. I mean, I can't just drop everything at work and just eat a full meal when I'm hungry. Sometimes I have to wait. So, that's where carnivore really gives us all a superpower. We can fast and go a little longer. If we have to wait 3 or 4 hours until it's a more appropriate or convenient time to eat, we all have that power. We're not chewing on our steering wheel or yelling at our kids because we're hangry, So that's been my experience with fasting, and I really appreciate Neah, you inviting me to be a part of the discussion today. I'm really glad to be here.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for joining in. All right. We'll go over to Larry, and I have to check on my little tater tot here. So take it away, Carnivore Soldier, and I'll be right back.
All right. She knows I can talk. So just FYI, the daily food guide, I looked it up. The 1950s, they had a daily food guide with 4 groups: the milk group, the meat group, the vegetable group, and the bread and cereal group. That's the square meal. And I'll get to fasting in a second, but it was interesting. I saw the 1940s, World War II, and this is right from the government recommendations. It said that they recommend that families make fats go further by storing fat left over from frying and saving drippings from cooked meats to help add flavor to foods and give meals staying power. Yeah. So this is like a government recommendation to do what we do, right? Or people think we're crazy. It's like, listen, I'm just following what the government said back in World War II. That's all I'm doing.
Tallow, bacon grease.
Yeah, exactly. They recommend using it to make meals, to add flavor and make meals and more nutrition. I mean, they knew back then. So
we're being scrappy. That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But so fasting. So I fasted before I found this way of eating. Before and I'm on my 1-year carniversary too. Tomorrow will be my 1 year, and I've lost over 50 pounds. Changed my whole body dimensions. I'm in the gym, lifting like I was in college and feeling great. And my goal has changed from losing weight and healing, because I'm all healed up pretty much and lost weight, to getting in the best shape of my life by the time I'm 60. That's my goal. I'm 57. I'll be 58 May 4th. So my whole goal is just to be in better shape at 60 than I was at 20, which I can do. So my fasting thing. So I started out, I've done intermittent fasting. I've fasted while on the standard American diet. I've done alternate day fasting. So I've done all kinds of different fasting in different conditions. My observations are this: one, it's easier to fast once you're carnivore because we're already on a fasting mimicking diet. So when you want to reintroduce fasting, it's a little easier than it is when you're on standard, because standard, you do get hangry. You get like major carb crashes. I still get sometimes a little bit of a crash, but it's not nearly like it was when I was doing alternate day fasting, which was terrible. That was awful. I mean, that's not even fun. But it worked. I lost weight because calorie restriction, right? And fasting and minimizing your insulin spikes, which is what you're trying to do. And I think that's, so observations of this diet though. I think people are not typing in OMAD or 2MAD and using that eating intuitively thing, because sometimes it is OMAD, sometimes it is 2MAD, sometimes it's 3MAD. That's why I am. When I'm in the gym, like today, I've eaten a dozen eggs. I split them up in 2 different shakes. I made one in the morning. I made one just now, and I had a bowl of some brisket chili. And so that was my meals today. And so it was 2MAD technically, but yesterday was 3MAD. So what would I tick off? I'm not going to tick off 2MAD. I'm just not going to make a construct. I'm going to listen to my body. And if I'm working out in the gym, that day I'm going to eat more, I guarantee you, than on a day where I'm more sedentary or just taking a walk. And, on the weekend, if I'm not doing yard work or I'm just taking Duke out for a walk here. Here's my dog, Duke. If we're just going for a walk, good boy, Duke. If we're just going for a walk and not doing too much stuff, I don't have to fast. I won't eat as much either. So, I mean, I don't call it fasting. It's just not eating. I think you are right, Robin. I think Dr. Kiltz is right. Fasting is really something that happens after 24 hours, I think. And a 24-hour fast is super easy. I do that every now and then. All you do is you go to bed at 7 p.m. after eating, and then you don't eat till the next day at 7 p.m. So you wait till the next dinner and eat, and then you've done a 24-hour fast. So there you go. That's all you got to do. It's super easy. And that, if you want to try fasting, that's the easiest way to do it. Just skip breakfast, skip lunch, and go right to dinner. And it's not even hard because you slept through most of it, overnight. So, yeah. So fasting, I know it has a lot of good, effects on your immune system, autophagy. I know all these things happen. And I would just say that it is easier on carnivore. I don't do it a lot. I've done it a couple times in the last year, And, back when I was on the regular diet, on the regular standard American diet, did it for religious reasons, like, fasting during mission trips and stuff. I did all kinds of different things. So I've done fasting for different reasons too, not just health. And it does make you focus. And that, that's one thing I like about fasting. But I just don't do it a whole lot with my diet. And when I do it, it's like I said, I just eat when I'm hungry, like more intuitively. And, I mean, the thing is, animals don't fast, but they do, right? It's not that they're fasting. It's what they're trying to do is get a kill. And they get the kill and they eat. And then they're looking for the next kill after they've rested. They'll get up and start looking, but they may be a couple of days till they get another kill. Same with the, ancestral man. Ancestral man didn't have grocery stores. So it may have been, if you look at the Maasai, they'll be out there tracking. And same with the Inuit. If they don't get a kill, they're not going to eat that night. And that's just the way it is. So, I think it is a natural thing for human beings, Homo sapiens, to not always eat all the time. That's the weird thing that we're doing now. That was never the case, even 20,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago. That was not the case. So that's all I got on that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I'll give you my thoughts here, and all of you pretty much covered everything that that applies to me as well. But I thought there were a lot of great points, and then we do have some questions lined up here, and we'll kind of just start going through those and see what we've got there. So, as far as my experience with fasting, I've kind of been all over the map as far as things that I've done over my entire healing journey. But this round on carnivore, I really decided to not intentionally fast from the beginning because of my history of just with dealing with gut issues and everything. Sometimes I would just not be able to eat because it was so uncomfortable or so painful that and I needed to go to work. And so I wouldn't even be able to think about doing that because it would allow me to not be able to function in a lot of circumstances. And so that was something that really harmed my relationship with food and turned it into this restrictive and binging type of thing. That was partly due to like physiologically what was going on in my body, but also this mental anxiety around eating and feeling better fasting, but also feeling extremely fatigued. And, you know, I was also drinking a lot of alcohol. And so it was just this very unhealthy, you know, cycle that was going on. And so when I started again this time, I thought, okay, mentally, I need to kind of come up with a strategy that's going to allow me to be successful this time. Because, you know, over fasting or being very, what's the word? Like, not intentional, but just like making sure, like a few of you mentioned, like using the apps to time your fast down to the minute kind of a thing. I used to do things like that. And so I thought, okay, I'm not doing any of that this time, because my ultimate goal is to get to that place where I can just intuitively eat when I'm hungry, stop when I'm full, and completely nourish my body that way, and have this sort of spontaneous eating whenever it is the right time to eat, depending on all these other factors. And a lot of you brought up different things like exercise and sleep and schedules and things that interfere with when we eat meals and when we can eat meals and how much of a meal we want to have. And so all of our lives, I feel like, you know, nothing ever goes according to schedule and plan all the time. And so having that ability to take the food aspect and put it in a place where it's not adding additional stress to my life was kind of my goal. And so I didn't intentionally try to do any sort of intermittent fasting, just eat when I'm hungry. And even if that meant a snack here or there, that's what I did. And I'm almost at 8 months now. I just have to look at my calendar. The end of this month. And I'd say now at this point, I'm probably within the last month, when I started messing with my macros more and really trying to up my fat, I realized I was not eating high enough fat for my personal situation right now. I've noticed that I have fallen into more of a too mad type of situation, but it's not the same times every day. Like a lot of times I wasn't eating breakfast for the longest time. And now sometimes I feel like when I wake up, I'm like, I want a meal, a relatively large meal in the morning. And then like yesterday I ate at 10 a.m. and I think it was after your stream, Larry, that I ate my second meal, like right before bed, which was just not anything that I normally do, like that far spaced apart. And then today I didn't eat till about 1 o'clock. And then I just had a small meal before I came on with you guys. So it's like, it's just completely kind of different every day. But I'd say on average for me right now, it's 2 solid meals and then perhaps like a third smaller / snack. A couple people, I was eating butter, but now I've cut that out, or ghee, but I've cut that out again. So we'll see how the Lion diet fares. I do feel it's day 2 and I feel a little bit different. Like I'm adjusting to something. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, the goal, I think, for all of us, right, is just to get to that place where you don't have to think about this. It doesn't have to be a scheduled thing. It doesn't have to be this intensive thing that needs to be managed. It's just a sort of spontaneous thing that happens when we're hungry. And that's a beautiful place to be. And I'm not quite there yet, but I think I'm much closer than I ever have been. So, okay. Well, thanks everybody for sharing your thoughts. I think this is great. It really shows that there's, no matter where you're at in your journey or where you're coming from, there's kind of a strategy that could be applied. And so it's cool to hear everybody's different takes on it. Let's grab some questions from our audience today. Nikita says, my weight loss has stalled over a month. I don't think I'm eating enough fat. Roughly how many tablespoons of butter do you guys eat with each meal? Maybe perhaps we could extend that out to fat in general if you're not eating butter, but you want to go around the circle. Ellie, we'll start with you.
As much as I can eat. No, honestly, I feel like I'm cooking and then I'm eating and then I'm like, where did and I'm feeding the whole family, I'm just making a joke, but it's like, where did 2/3 of the stick of butter go? I feel like butter is always, it's a plenty in the house, but also runs out quickly. So, another way to, get more fat in your meals is just to cook with the bacon grease. Like we were saying earlier, be scrappy and save the bacon grease and the tallow, and keep butter handy. I know that a lot of the time, if we are not quite, I feel like we can all eat better when we're home, because it's like everything that we have is here, and then when you're out in the wild, it's kind of difficult. So I feel like maybe bringing a little bit of like fatty bacon with you, that might be something that you can. I made a, what is it, like a short or a reel, whatever they're called, of my purse bacon. I like to keep some purse bacon on me, and it makes me feel like a real carnivore and prepared as a mom. So I think that could be like a fun, easy way to like up your fat throughout the day. So if you're hungry and you're not at home, then you can snack on that. So yeah, I think a lot. How many tablespoons? I mean, it must be at least 5. That's being, meager, but hope that helps.
I use a lot of butter, but if I was to say how much butter I eat with each meal, at least a couple of tablespoons. I use other ways to get fat in, as Ellie mentioned. I use I go to my local butcher shop and I get the ribeye fat trimmings and cut those up into bite-sized pieces and fry them up or put them in the air fryer. And that's a really, really great way to get extra fat in. And then I have to give a plug for the heart attack meats. The heart attack meats, because I just cooked fried chicken wings in bacon grease. I actually deep fried them in bacon grease. And, chicken wings are not that fatty, but frying them up in bacon grease, that makes them extra fatty. So that was super good. So yeah, that there are ways to get your fat in, but I personally eat probably a couple of tablespoons of butter with each meal.
Okay, my turn. I heart butter. Hashtag bite butter is a thing that we like to say on Linus Lifestyle. We haven't said that in a while, Ellie. I think we need to bring that back.
Hashtag bite butter.
That's right. I've been known to just go to the butter dish and just, take a bite of butter because it's really, really delicious. I think today I had about 5 tablespoons. I'm not trying to copycat you, Ellie. That's really how many I had today. So I actually took some to work with me with the eggs that I brought to work. And then with dinner tonight, I had some burger patties, and then I had like 3 tablespoons of butter that I just sliced off and I just ate them. Really good. I also do the bacon fat. I do a lot of bacon fat. So I made some chicken thighs today. I decided I was going to have that, but then my son and I were talking about what he's going to eat. I'm like, okay, you can have the chicken thighs, but I just brushed them liberally with a lot of bacon fat, hit them with some Redmond real salt, and I did those in the air fryer. So I've done the deep fat fried, I've shallow fried them that way. It works great in the air fryer too. Just brush them liberally with that bacon grease. They're really good. I'm a little bit jealous that he gets to eat those. And then I will cook. So if I do my ribeye in my cast iron pan, sorry, Brett, if I'm stealing your thunder, I know you're the cast iron guy over there, but then I use beef tallow. So I buy my beef tallow. I know a lot of people render their own. I'm a little bit lazy, so I don't do that. But I buy the Chicago Packing beef tallow from Amazon. It's very delicious, and that stuff is great. And you can just I don't even measure it, just a big old hunk of that, in the cast iron pan. Get it all melted down, and a ribeye cooked in that is super good.
Are you buying the Wagyu?
Yes,
that's what I buy.
Yes,
same
oh
one
my
I buy.
gosh,
Yeah.
so good, so good.
For me, if you don't think you're getting enough fat, you're probably not. Because you would know if you were getting too much fat in the bathroom. Things would be, loosey-goosey. We'll just say that.
It would be a fluid situation.
Yeah. So I would say, if you don't think you're eating enough fat, go ahead and up it. Butter's a great way. I get extra fat by using butter, using bacon grease, and beef tallow. Those are my 3 main ones. And I have mason jars full of bacon grease that I've kept from my homemade bacon that I make, which is like the best bacon grease ever. It's just phenomenal if I don't say so myself. And I keep, like, every time I make hamburger, I'll drain off, I'll keep the beef tallow off of hamburger, off of steak trimmings, and then I also buy some to keep on hand if I need it. Or if I just want to make something with a cleaner grease for whatever reason. I like having grease options. So, start saving your bacon grease. Like tonight for dinner, I made salmon patties. Salmon patties don't have a lot of fat in them. So my cast iron skillet was about a quarter of an inch deep with bacon grease when I fried them. And it soaked up, those patties soaked up a bunch of that. There wasn't a pool of bacon grease in the pan when they were done. It was just, a little, splotchy with some grease. So if you don't think you're getting enough, you're probably not. That's what I want to leave you with. And don't be afraid to use it. Fat is fuel. If you ever been camping and threw a piece of fat on the campfire, what happens? It goes up in flames. It's an energy source, and your body uses that energy. So don't think of fat as, maybe, I don't know if you're kind of the kind of person who's been brainwashed to think eating fat makes you fat, but we all know and we've all learned that, fat isn't the thing that makes you fat. So don't be afraid of the fat. Oh, and I'm eating up my salmon patties and my salmon supplies because I'm doing Lion Diet when we get back from spring break in April. So I'll be joining Neah on the Lion Diet. I'm going to try it.
Oh, really? Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
I'm shooting a meal prep video right now, or I finished shooting it today. Because I'm prepared, and that's the only way I'm gonna be able to jump into this. So yeah, that'll be coming up soon. All right, Larry.
Yeah, so I eat tons of fat, and I'm a butter snob because I do eat butter straight. I slice butter off all the time and eat it. And so I found the butters that I prefer. And I mean, Kerrygold's great. It's just expensive. So I actually get the Costco grass-fed, and I like that. And I'll eat a lot of it. I mean, I'll get one of those boxes of Costco grass-fed, and it'll be gone at the end of the week. So I'll eat four of those big fat sticks like the Kerrygold side in a week, either cooking or eating. So I eat quite a bit of butter, and I've lost a ton of weight. And the other thing is, we don't know much about where you're at either. So you said you plateaued, but are you 60 days into carnivore? Are you a year into carnivore? Where are you at? Are you eating dairy? That's the thing I cut out. I went Lion, and actually cutting dairy out was the big thing, I think, where I did lose weight. So it may not be your fat intake. It may be that you're eating dairy or you have sweetener still in your diet. So there's other things to look at too. If you're doing a pure, really good, clean carnivore diet with no dairy or just dairy as a condiment on your meat, and then you can look at your fat. But adding fat is not going to hurt you. Like what we just said here, you can have a fluid situation if you eat too much fat, but it's not going to hurt you. So you can add fat at any time, and it'll make you more satiated. You won't be as hungry. You probably won't eat as many big meals. That's what I do. So when I do snack, sometimes I'll just go shave off a slice of butter in the fridge and come back and do something, answer some emails. I work from home. So that's the thing. I work from home, so I have every opportunity to eat poorly, and no one would catch me, right? But it's just so easy to eat the right way on this diet, especially if you are eating a lot of fats. You don't have to cheat. And then, I mean, I just recommend that, you can add fat, but make sure you look at where you're at in your journey and get the whole picture, because we don't have that here. So what we're saying is, if everything is being done right and you're not eating dairy and you're not eating sweeteners, then you might want to add fat. And a lot of people don't have enough fat in their diet. That's true. That's a fact, especially in carnivore, because carnivore is not a low calorie diet. It's not a high protein diet. It's a high fat diet. The protein's the same. Whether you're doing a standard American diet, a keto diet, or a carnivore diet, it should be the same amount of protein. pretty much. What changes is going from carbohydrates and sweeteners to no sweeteners and fats, and everything else should be pretty much the same. So that does change what kind of foods you eat, but so you usually do need a lot of fat in your diet.
Agreed. Yeah, those were all good points. And I think, I don't even really have much to add to all that. You guys covered it.
I'd
We
love
do
to
have
say
a
something.
few. Oh yeah, go
Just
ahead.
real quick. If you're in a weight loss stall, I've been there. I've kind of been there for a while, honestly. And I am a big proponent of the non-scale victory. So how are your clothes feeling? How's your skin doing? Are you being regular in the toilet, like Brett was alluding to? How's your energy? Like all of those things, those are benefits that stack upon each other. And yeah, it's not the number on the scale that, we're so accustomed to, like, we're like wired to think that that means success in recompositioning our body. But I could say that I've not lost weight in like, I don't know, 4 months or so, and like my pants are looser and my skin is clearer. And I mean, I have 2 kids and I watch my friends' kids, so energy is not always there, but I'd say energy is pretty good in general. So I just want to give you that some internet love and just say that just look at some of the wonderful things that are happening to you, because I'm sure that you're feeling much better than probably how you were before.
I agree with that. And I just want to kind of add on to that because I know for myself, I'm so used to being on a diet. Even after I've been a carnivore for a year, the mentality is, that I should be losing a lot of weight because I've gone on many diets, forced my weight down through a variety of different diets over the course of the years. And so my expectation is to lose weight quickly because that's what diets do, right? But carnivore is different. It's not a diet. It is a healing protocol. So, your body's healing itself from the inside out. There's all kinds of things going on. And hopefully you're healing a lot of your ailments. If you had anxiety, if you had depression, if you had, a variety of different things, issues that people have. Type 2 diabetes is one that's just disappearing like that. It feels like, something that's chronic and incurable that's just disappearing for people on the carnivore way of eating. So to me, while weight, it can be a problem, and we certainly do want to lose weight, your body is going to determine what your weight should be. And your body might be doing some other things before tackling that weight. So that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay,
really
thanks. Yeah.
I think it's really weight optimization, not weight loss. Because really your body's going to optimize to whatever weight it's supposed to be at. And that's why a lot of people seem to go back to like when they were their college or high school weight. I see a lot of people do that once they get really into this and their body starts healing and then they get to their weight. It just seems to go to that because that's kind of what your weight was before you started introducing all these poisons in mass and, before your body started freaking out. And once your body can get normalized and not freak out, it can just like heal up and get to its optimal. Just, I think of when I was a kid, I knew all the neighbors on my street. I knew all the parents, and none of them were fat, like obese. There were some that were out of shape, but none of mine, I don't know about you guys, but none of my friends' parents were like really, there was one fat lady. We called her the fat lady. I mean, she was the fat lady, but there was like one on the block. And now it's like everywhere, like on my block here, every household has someone that's obese in it, at least one. And it's not natural. And I think when we get back to eating a natural diet, we get natural bodies like we used to. And I used to be a lifeguard at the pool in the neighborhood, and there weren't a lot of fat people or kids there. There's a couple, but not like, almost everyone was just thin. There were people that were out of shape, but they were thin. They weren't big out of shape. They were not inflamed out of shape. They were just like, just not toned. And I think that's the normal thing. So we got to get back to that. And weight is not, I agree. Scale's like the worst indicator. Its non-scale victories are huge.
It's just springboarding off what Larry just said. If if you eat the right stuff, you will allow your body to return to its natural state. Because we all have DNA, we all have chromosomes, our bodies have a natural, design outcome for when we grow from children to adults. We're supposed to genetically look a certain way. And if you feed your body wrong, you end up looking, like me when I started overweight, where if you eat the right things, your body will eventually return to what it's supposed to be. I think there's some truth
Agreed.
to that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think there's more and more examples of that every day.
Yeah, I didn't even really have to exercise to start my body transitioning back, especially those of us that are older. When I didn't join a gym till December of this last year, end of December. So I did almost all my weight loss and body transition, including putting muscle on, just walking and running a few times. And that was it. And never lifting weights. So you're right, man. I think our body just does transition back.
Mm-hmm. We've got several questions here. I know like this hour is already almost up. This goes so fast. And we have a couple super chats that I want to get to as well. So Esther's question is, she fell off the wagon for a day. Would it be beneficial to fast after some carbs, or will it be better to get some carnivore days in before a fast? I would say right off the top of my head, what's that?
I was going to say, I'll vote. My vote is for the carnivore days.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's hard to fast after you've been on carbs. Really hard. But that's my opinion.
I was about to agree with you. I think in the past, I would have said fast, and punish myself for doing, eating the wrong thing or eating off plan. And that never worked mentally or usually physically. It would end up like I would just have another binge or have something else come in and feel worse. So I would say just get right back on the wagon. Your next meal, make it whatever you were used to, a carnivore meal. And then, if you're comfortable, if whatever your eating window is, and if that is like a 16-8 or even a 20-4 or something like that, you may want to go back to that. But I would say get right back on with carnivore.
I'd say the first thing you need to do is to forgive yourself. So don't worry about if you're going to fast or whatever. Just tomorrow's a new day. Today is gone. Forgive yourself and just get back on it and just get back to plan. And definitely don't fast if you view fasting as a punishment.
Right.
This lifestyle, this way of eating isn't a punishment. It's a reward. We're eating the best food there is to eat for humans to eat. So it's not a punishment. But if you view fasting as punishing yourself, then don't fast.
Yeah.
If you think it's going to help you, then go for it. But I would just get back on the horse tomorrow and let today go.
And then the other thing I would do, I have a video, I talk about this, failing with the purpose, is go back, journal or analyze what you were feeling before you failed. Like what introduced this? Were you tempted? Did you not prepare before you went to a party? Were you pressured by people when you went to dinner and they prepared a meal for you? What things triggered it? What sent you down that path? And then figure out going forward, okay, in the future, I'm going to do this to prevent that, or I'm going to be prepared and try to, fail with a purpose. Since it is a failure, it's no big deal. It happens. You fall off, but just try to learn from it and use it as a lesson going forward. We do it in the Army. We call it an after action review. After every mission, we talk about 3 things that went well, 3 things that didn't go well, 3 things we want to change. And it's just a little self-reflection. It's a good exercise, and you need to get in the habit of it because you're going to fail at different things in life daily. And it's just a good way to improve yourself going forward. So this is not a punishment, but it should be a time to reflect and say, okay, something caused it, right? Because you didn't intend to quit. You didn't plan on quitting. It wasn't a cheat day, I hope, because I hate that. That's That's not right. But if it wasn't a cheat day, then you should definitely reflect on what caused it. If it was a cheat day, then the reflection should be don't schedule cheat days because there are none in carnivore. That's not the way it works.
Right. Yep.
Agreed. Eat Meat, Heal for Life dropped a super chat, so thank you very much. And their question is, I'm 16 days into cold turkey carnivore and oxalate removal. In addition, I've eliminated gluten, sugar, artificial sweeteners, and alcohol. Having major itching issues, mostly at night. Oxalate dumping, anyone?
Yes.
I would say 100%. I think
Yeah,
I am
probably.
definitely dealing with that. Still 8 months
Mhm.
in my journey with skin issues.
It can take a long time to get the oxalates out. This stuff is like buried deep within your cells, and those fat cells that are being released and opened up. All these toxic chemicals that we've been eating are coming out, and the oxalates are coming out too. So it can take a long time. I've heard of people having oxalate dumping for years, actually.
Me too. Can you speed it up? Is exercise a viable way or something to change? I'm just curious. I don't know. I don't have it.
I'm not sure about speeding it up,
Mhm.
but if it becomes so uncomfortable, you can slow it down by drinking a little bit of tea or something
That's
like
what I
that.
heard. Certain teas.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can slow it down if it's becoming unbearable.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I've heard some in other live streams I've had mention certain binders that may help eliminate, and that's probably more from like a heavy metal or other other toxins in the body. But
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes it's hard to tell, at least from my experience, like, is this oxalate specifically, or is this just everything else in my liver that's being purged out? So whether it is that specifically or not, I think, the best resource, I think we all know of Sally K. Norton. She's got a book, Toxic Superfoods, that's really good. And I actually joined one of her little, like, not memberships, but like group coaching calls, where she just kind of goes through this entire slideshow about her, essentially what's in that book and possible remedies. There's like a topical remedy that you can make to apply to skin things. But yeah, I think this is probably one of the biggest issues that I'm currently still dealing with, and it's no fun. And the weird thing about this is it can be so many different symptoms, and it can go away and then flare up again. And that's why I'm really leaning into that as a possibility for myself, because I'll feel great for a week, 10 days, sometimes 2 weeks, like, cool, I've hacked everything, I figured it out. And then my skin will flare up and be super itchy, and it's like, I didn't change anything, like, what is this? Or my joints will hurt, and it's like, it's oxalates. So yeah, I feel for you.
You remember too, you're 16 days in, so you're still,
Early on.
You're still early on. So just give it time. Take a little
Right.
vitamin P, like Dr. Berry says. Be patient and just keep eating the right foods, and maybe even try narrowing it down a little if you think maybe you're having a histamine reaction to something. But it's probably oxalates, especially if you've eaten a lot of vegetables in the past, because I didn't, and I've never experienced anything I would call oxalate dumping because I just didn't eat a lot of vegetables. So,
Especially if you ate a lot of spinach, which
Yeah.
was the thing, right?
Mhm.
Everybody
Nuts,
was like
almonds.
spinaching out. So spinach is
Mhm.
high.
Yeah.
Not
high,
me. I
high
hated
oxalate.
spinach. Thank God. Thank God I hated that stuff.
You
Hated
didn't
Brussels
want
sprouts.
Popeye
I hated
mussels?
all
I think
that crap.
everybody hated it, but
Yeah,
they
right.
ate it anyway because
Popeye
it was
mussels.
good for you.
Mhm.
No
I used to eat
thanks.
so much salad. It was crazy. And I enjoyed salad. I used to like a big fat, organic mixed greens thing, and I'd put meat on it, For a while I thought that was where I was going to stay, and then it's like, why am I still bloated? Why am I still having brain, And then it was like,
Yeah.
cut the greens, and down the rabbit hole I went. So Carrie's here, Homestead How.
Yay.
Thank you so much for the super chat. And his question is, what has been your most surprising or unexpected health outcome since transitioning to a proper human diet? P.S. You are all awesome. Well, thank you. I guess for me, I would say that I'm actually surprised that my gut health improved to the extent that it did. I kind of always thought that I would be managing symptoms and I would still be dealing with some of the severe flare-ups that I used to have, and that maybe just the time between them would be longer. But I couldn't even really imagine what a life without those severe symptoms was like. And so I remember this was my first round on carnivore when I remember at work, I was like dancing around the restaurant and people were like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, I don't feel like garbage today. Like, this is the first day of my life in years that I feel good, and it's it changes your whole outlook. So gut health for me.
Mine was seasonal allergies, to be honest. I mean, I've had a lot of great benefits, but the most surprising one was that I did not have seasonal allergies at all.
Yeah.
Last year. This year, I think I've had to take maybe allergy pill maybe 4 or 5 times as the season's transitioning. But after February 22nd, all the way till this spring, when springtime started to act like it was coming around, I had to take maybe 4 allergy pills. And I'm a person who took allergy pills once or twice a day, every day of my life for all of my life. So I've been on allergy pills just constantly. And so that seasonal allergy one blew me away. I was so shocked. Everybody else was going around sniffing and sneezing and runny noses. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Do carnivores not have allergies? That was
I
very,
did
very
so
cool.
bad this year. I'm still I still have to clear my throat every 5 seconds, I feel like, but it's way better than it was a couple weeks ago. But I'm also new to this state, so maybe that's the reason. But
Oh yeah.
Could be. The state has terrible allergies. Austin's even worse than Dallas. And I mean, I was the person that lived off an allergy pill every morning and cleared my nose all for an hour every morning. And now I've done maybe 2 or 3 times this year, and that's it. And I don't have allergies. It's crazy. That's
crazy.
And that sunburn thing. I mean, the skin just tans up now, and it's just, it's all mitochondrial damage, I think, and inflammation. And once that's gone and your body just actually functions right, we're amazed that we actually are normal. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. But you know what? That's where we're supposed to be. And we were as kids. I mean, we're running around the sun all day and we didn't have sunblock back then. We didn't even have it. I don't think you ever heard of it until like the 80s. I mean, it's crazy. And, and then when I was a lifeguard, I never wore sunblock. None of us did. I wore a little bit on my nose. I wore the zinc oxide on my nose, and I wore baby oil to get a better tan. I mean, that's what we used to do. Put baby oil to get a tan. We didn't wear no dang sunblock.
Sunscreen.
No, never heard of SPF. And it's, our bodies are just supposed to operate like that. And so, yeah, I think that was my biggest ones too, allergies and, mental health, and then the sun, the skin.
Yeah, I'd love to share. Oh, go ahead, Chrissy.
Oh, I was just gonna say, my social anxiety that I didn't even know I had, went away. So I'm here with 5 of my new friends, and I'm totally comfortable. I'm happy to be here. In the past, I would have dreaded this. If I did schedule it, I would have dreaded it and tried to find a way to get out of it, for sure. But I most likely wouldn't have scheduled it in the first place. It was so bad, I wouldn't even want to go for a walk, because I would think, oh, people are looking at me. She's walking weird. Is she looking ugly today? Is she looking fat today? I was constantly obsessed about what other people were supposedly thinking about me when I was out in the world. So I just didn't want to be with people, but I just thought, oh, I'm just an introvert. Well, that's not the definition of introvert. So I'm still an introvert. I do, after this, I'm going to go enjoy some quiet time on the couch. But right now I'm enjoying myself talking with all of you, and I don't feel anxious. I'm not worried about, do they not like my sweater? Does my hair, whatever. Like, I'm just not worried about any of that. I'm just enjoying the conversation. And I didn't even know that anything was wrong or out of balance or out of place until it went away. And then I was like, wait, what? Like, I want to go to an amusement park with my kid. Who even am I right now? That was the first time I noticed it, because I might have gone out of guilt and like hated every minute of it. But I went and I was like, had a fun day and I was excited to go. That was the first time I really noticed it. So that was surprising, because I didn't even know that, anything was necessarily out of place until it got better.
That was so beautiful, Christy, and your sweater's so cute. Don't ever doubt it.
One of my students said, "I like your outfit today. It's sophisticated." That's what he said to me. I'm like, all right, sophisticated.
Extra credit. No.
I know, right? Listen to that vocabulary. You must have a good teacher. Sophisticated. Okay.
You're always so funny, Christy. I love you. I'd say like the most unexpected benefit for me was something I never even like realized that I was doing. I feel like a lot of you guys might think I'm like a warm and fuzzy little like koala or something, or koalas are scary. I don't know, like a little cat or something. Like, oh, she's so sweet, whatever. But there are times when I'm like very perfectionistic and I'm very harsh on myself, and I'm very particular about how things are going around, but I'm extremely lazy, and then I get frustrated, and so I have this issue that's like they're counter. I don't know. Well, anyway, that's not my point. But the thing is that I'm able to now recognize these chips on my shoulders or triggers that I have or things that are making me upset. I'm finally able to go like take a step back and be like, oh my gosh, I'm doing that thing again, or I'm hurting someone around me, or I could say this better, or there's something like this habit that I have that I need to work on. And it doesn't make me feel like I don't like break down as often. It's really nice to say, like, I used to, I'm a stay-at-home mom now, but when I used to work, I used to have so much like panic. It was definitely like fight or flight mode. Sometimes I rode with it and I was like, yeah, I'm charming and I'm great. I'm doing accents and it's awesome. And then there was other times where like my knees would buckle and I was in a fetal position and I was screaming and crying. And I feel like now I can do tough things. And I feel like now I have like a little bit of an identity. That was because I used to hide a lot in my life, and now I feel like it's like, I don't know, people want to hear what I have to say, even though I don't know as much as others, but all I can do is share my story and share my heart and the ups and the downs. And I have to say that just changing your diet, I can't believe it, but it was exactly what I needed to become me, like becoming Ellie, like being able to like come out of my shell. And it's just been an honor. And happy 1 year, Carrie. Thank you. You really, I don't even know if you're still watching, but you really changed my life with our interview together. I'm crying with our interview together.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna make us all cry.
No.
Why? Got that.
No, I'm gonna stop that. Everything's fine.
I might get sweaty eyeballs, but I won't cry.
Oh my gosh.
Sweaty
Well,
eyeballs.
he really did. He like with his 30-day update, he was like, remember your pain, start a YouTube channel, you can do this. And it was after I had like fallen off the wagon or whatever they say the first time I did carnivore, and now I'm like, almost a year, and just so many wonderful things have changed. So thank you. And that's it, I'm done.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Carrie changed
so
a lot
good.
of lives. So far, he's already changed so many lives. And I'm definitely one of the people that he encouraged me to start my YouTube channel. I don't know if everybody on here, but Carrie was like, you need to start a YouTube channel, Robin. He didn't say Robin, but that's what I heard him say. Start your YouTube channel. Tell your story. And so many lives are changing because of just him. I saw him climbing up on his pergola And I was like, this dude is crazy.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to watch him and see what he's, what is he up to? And definitely life changing. He's definitely a connector.
His 30-day videos kind of what got me thinking about starting my channel. So,
Yeah.
but I guess the unexpected thing for me would be how it has improved my eyesight. I went in a few months ago for my yearly eye exam, and the eye doctor was like, "Those are the best looking 54-year-old eyes I've seen in a long time." And I've always had great eyesight. I've been blessed with perfect eyesight my whole life. And at 54, I still have perfect eyesight. And I could tell a few years back, I was having trouble seeing distances and, focusing as quickly as I used to. And now it's like, it's just back to the way it was. So that, and I'm able to self-recognize when I'm feeling a certain something like a sugar craving, or I'm better at feeling out situations. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but I know when I'm being triggered, and I have a greater self-awareness to those things that used to derail me. And now I'm like, oh, okay. That must mean I'm thirsty, or I'm hungry, or I'm bored and I'm getting this stupid hungry feeling, but I'm not really hungry. I can kind of self-diagnose what I'm feeling better than I ever could. So
Amazing.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I think
Did everybody get to?
I think the biggest surprise I had is that I could lose weight like I did at such a rapid pace without ever being hungry. Not once that I was hungry, I didn't eat. I used to think that hunger pains meant that that's what it feels like to lose weight. So when I get hunger pains, I'm like, okay, this is what it feels like. I'm doing the work, right? Because I know I'm losing weight because I'm hungry. And in this diet, I was never hungry, that I didn't just go eat. And I lost weight like magically melting. And that blew me away. That's like so weird. It's so counterintuitive, right? It is. I mean, we spend our lives doing the opposite. So when you go into opposite world, you chase that rabbit down the hole, like and that's when you find out. So
Awesome. Did everyone get to share? We get to everybody? Okay. Well, I know it's past the hour, and I don't want to keep anyone longer than they can stay. So now's your chance to get out. Otherwise, you're stuck here for another couple questions.
I'm in the middle of grinding dog food. I got 80 pounds of food for Duke, which is about a month, and
Nice.
I've got 30 pounds left to grind. So I got to go finish grinding it and then put it in the freezer, do my meal prep for my dog, my carnivore dog. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it, and it's been fun, Neah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Great to talk to you again, Larry.
Yep, bye.
Okay, so
Solid
we
dude.
have a few other questions. If y'all are, or wait, were you going to say something, Brett?
No, I was just saying Larry's a solid dude. He's
Oh,
yeah.
love talking to him.
Yeah. Okay, so our next question is from Darth Carnivore. He says, if anyone on the panel does extended fast, what sort of planning helps you get through it, or what sort of things or triggers do you avoid to make it easier? I don't do any extended fast at this moment, so I have nothing.
I'm going to go
say on
first because I know Brett is the king of fasting over here.
True story, Robin. True story.
So I do an extended fast once a year at least. This year I did 5 days. And the really most amazing thing was priming. I had never heard of priming before. So I would go into these extended fasts. It would be really, really hard for the first 2 or 3 days. And then, if you're doing just a 3-day fast, just by the time you get over the whole hump, then the fast is over. But priming, so, and that is, I increased my eating up to at least 3 meals a day and eating until I was stuffed. I know they do a lot with eggs, eating a lot of eggs, and stuff like that. So, but I did it kind of intuitively, I guess I'd say, because I know the Steak and Butter Gang does a whole priming protocol. But I was like, I'm just going to increase my meals up to 3 meals a day and eat until I'm stuffed at each meal. And I did not get hungry during my fast. It took days for me to get hungry during the fast. Now, I mean, usually after 24 hours, I'm like, okay, it's time to eat. I'm hungry, but it took days for me to get hungry. So I highly recommend to do some sort of a priming protocol for a week or so before you're going into an extended fast.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. When I did my 12-day fast at the beginning of the year, I did a couple weeks worth of priming. And I didn't prime like eating 3 dozen eggs a day, but I went like what you said, Robin, I went to 3 meals a day and just ate until I was full. And I probably should have done it longer than I did to prepare for the length of fast. But once I got over the hump, I was good to go. I went probably 7 or 8 of those days where I wasn't hungry at all and food just seemed uninteresting, So I was definitely in the zone. But for someone who's thinking about trying an extended fast, I would just work your way up to it. If you've never done one, do a 36 hour. You should at least go to bed one time without eating to get the real experience. And then, go a few weeks and then try doing 2 or 3 days and then go, a few more weeks and then do 4 days and then just kind of work your way up and just go by how you feel and stay on top of your electrolytes. That's really all you got to do. Electrolytes are big.
Anyone else extended fast? Yeah, I don't know, maybe what the longest one, because I'm kind of with you, Christy. I tend to get lightheaded, dizzy, sort of almost like blood pressure, not feeling quite right, even into like that 2-day time period. And I know there's a lot of people that say, once you hit 72 hours, that's kind of, then you start feeling good, but I can't seem to quite get there yet. So yeah, I used to try to push it and I just felt miserable. And so I'd love to do one eventually. Cause we haven't really touched on, we've sort of touched on this topic, but the idea of autophagy and that break that your body gets to, remove damaged proteins, repair things and just get the junk out. And I think Larry was talking about this too. I mean, that's the most ancestrally, probably relevant, thing that we would have done before agriculture and before industrial food and all that stuff. We would have just been forced into that. And so not necessarily, she turned on a light, sorry. We would have been, just in, again, that sort of spontaneous pattern versus a very structured pattern. And I think that, it serves its purpose in modern day. It's like we are all, we have normal business hours, we have normal working hours so that things can function and we can communicate and do all that. But breaking out of that pattern and living this more ancestrally appropriate pattern of eating, I think is so obviously working for so many of us. Let's see.
And I just want to mention, like,
yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna fix my light.
One of the things that I've been hearing about with fasting with Steak and Butter Gang and their coaching protocol, I joined their coaching program for a month. And I wanted to kind of see what they were talking about. And one of the things that they talk about is you should not be white knuckling your fasting. If you are fasting and you're like, dying, then you should stop, just break the fast. So you should not have to white knuckle it through. which I mean, this is probably and I've been fasting for years with my church, right? And every year it's so hard. You know, I know I'm going to do it. I try to get ready. Like you know, reduce my caffeine consumption and, you know, try to do all the things to get ready. But priming was the key to not having to white knuckle it through the fast. So that would be what I would say is if you're white knuckling, you should probably break your fast.
Agreed. Let's see. Karen had let me see if I missed anything here. I thought this was something we could maybe get into. I mean, we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but Karen says she's got conflicting views on fasting for women. I seem to get headaches, or she seems to get headaches when she goes too far without eating. And yeah, I think Christy and I both touched on that. And yeah, I understand that, because I do feel like there are still proponents that maybe not necessarily in the carnivore space as much, but I know, like, I remember in keto, general low carb, it was like women need to carb cycle, or women need to, not fast at all, really. And then you'll hear things on the opposite spectrum that, but I think too, it depends so much hormonally. Like, I feel definitely like my hormones are not quite where they should be. And so I don't want to add any extra stress to my body while I'm trying to heal. Like, healing is the number one priority. And so in my particular situation, and so, but there are healing benefits for fasting. So it's kind of this weird limbo place that we can find ourselves sometimes. But I think, if I could kind of summarize what I've heard everybody say, it's very much intuitive, and we're all at different stages metabolically with what our bodies are really adapted to. And I think sometimes, like, I feel like some people really build up that metabolic machinery to be more flexible sooner than others. And I think that depends on your history, with yo-yo dieting and weight loss and what kind of diet you came from and all those kinds of things. And so, just keeping that in perspective when you're looking at the time frame, between like maybe how long you've been able to fast when you started out versus at this point in your journey. At least that's kind of what I'm trying to do. It's like, okay, when I first started carnivore, I couldn't really go more than, I was eating 3 solid meals a day, maybe even a snack in between, and was feeling like I was just eating so much food all the time. But I think that's really what my body needed. My gut was having a hard time adjusting to that volume. But, it took me, and I have updates every 30 days up until I think February on my channel. And I talk about all that, where it's like, I'm trying to prime, I'm trying to just put everything in, but I really had this desire to just take a break and let my gut process all of this and slowly build up the fat content again. And so it's just this experimental process, right? Which is kind of the hard answer to give, because we all have sort of a unique situation. But I agree. Sometimes information can be conflicting, but at the end of the day, you best. And I like to kind of write down or do like a loose tracking sometimes, just to see like, okay, how long am I going for like a week's time? And then how am I feeling about that? And then kind of stop tracking and then maybe tweak a few things and then see. And so that's how I'm back on Lion Diet now, because I'm like, I tried adding seafood in, I tried adding decaf back and some ghee, and then I experimented with some raw dairy, which I'm going to talk about in a video probably coming up soon. And that didn't go very well. So now I'm like, okay, I need to dial it back in and do this thing. So anyway, what do y'all think?
Yeah, I'd like to piggyback a little bit on what you said about like our history before coming to this way of eating. So I think for me, that probably plays a huge role in why fasting is still something that I am having a hard time doing. I was huge on the binging and restricting, emphasis on the restricting, like a lot of restricting, punctuated by these weeks, of binging and then going back to the restricting for months and months and months. So I know that I messed up my metabolism, my hormones, all my hunger signals, all that stuff is all screwy because I did that for 30 years. I don't know, 35 years, a long dang time. you know, basically being on a diet my whole life, but I mean extreme restriction. So, you know, maybe when my body heals enough, you know, when I've been on carnivore for longer, I'll be able to do it. I'm not going to say that I'm never going to try it again. I don't think I'll do 48 hours again. I think I will have to build up to that one, Robin. You know, right now the longest I go is 18 or 19 hours. And I did that today, and I was pretty dang hungry, and I was very happy for my food. So if I had to go 24, I would have done some white knuckling. I would have been like, yeah, because I was getting hungry, trying, you know, and I was in the middle of my teaching day, right? So trying to get through that wouldn't have been fun. But I do think some of that is because of my history with food, you know, and what that's been for most of my life.
Yeah.
This is so funny. I saw that earlier, and I was like,
It's true.
And you
right?
don't
It's
have
kind
to
of like,
fast.
nope.
That's the thing, is you really don't have to do it. If you want to do it, you should try it. You know, you can work on your fasting muscle by, you know, doing these different kind of intermittent fasting. And then, as Brett said, going into a 24 hours. And I like, oh, maybe that was Larry that said that, but I like to eat at noon, eat a big lunch, and then don't eat before bed. Go to bed, and then you can easily go till noon again. So that's a good way to get a 24-hour fast in. But you do not have to fast. So it's up to you.
We've just got a few more questions, at least the ones that I could see in here. So I apologize if I missed anybody's here. But Van City says, what's the best thing to consume to gain weight? No matter how much I eat on carnivore, I can't gain. Drop to 168 pounds, ripped from 196, but want to be at 175 again. Any tips?
I think your body is probably saying that I want to weigh 168 pounds. If you're eating fatty meats, you're eating a carnivore diet, you're eating the proper human diet, what you should be eating enough fat, and your body is sticking at 168, then that might be the weight that you're supposed to be at. That's my opinion. I've never had a problem where I couldn't gain weight. So I don't know.
That's not been my experience. I know that's not my problem. I mean, I might suggest a little dairy. I might suggest that, because I know that would make me gain weight if I ate too much.
You can tolerate it.
You can tolerate dairy. Yeah.
well, it sounds like you're ripped. I was just going to say, lift heavy things, get in the gym more, really just start bulking up those muscles. And this is coming from someone who does not work out at all. So take that as you will. I lift my toddlers like this, and I barely could do that. So
they're heavy. They're heavy. 30-pound dumbbells or more. Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. The consensus I've heard on that is either, yes, that sometimes, well, when we say weight loss, we're usually talking about fat loss, right? We don't want to lose muscle or lose bone density or lose, you know, too much fluid or anything like that. But when we're talking about weight gain, we're usually talking about muscle mass, right? Or, you know, those healthy indicated aspects of body composition. And so adding that stimulus in, like Ellie was saying, is what's going to prompt your genes to, you know, say, okay, we need to pack on more muscle because this guy is lifting all this stuff all the time. We need to adapt to that. And so I think, you know, I've heard recommendations from anywhere from once a week, you know, 1 to 2 times a week to, you know, 3 to 4 times a week, depending on your level of fitness, of doing a pretty intense lifting session where you're getting into that lower rep, higher weight range, and then having appropriate and oftentimes longer rest periods than we would typically give ourselves. I know even like in that 3+ workout per week range, I would even argue that that's too much, especially if you're new to it and you haven't trained a whole lot. But that's what I would say. And then if worse comes to worse, you can always do a little tracking. I know I'm kind of like the tracking lady right now talking about that, but you know, if if you're not really sure how much protein you're having, you could play around with that and try to shoot for higher amounts of protein and or fat, depending again on, well, you're probably pretty low body fat. So yeah, I would say eating more in general if you can, and potentially spacing out your meals, a little bit smaller meals more frequently could help. So almost the reverse of the advice that we've been talking about for weight loss, right? Instead of compressing the eating window, you might want to widen your eating window, just to, and then this kind of gets into insulin too, because we're not always in ketosis on a carnivore diet. And when you do have an insulin spike from like a large bolus of protein, that is anabolic. So that is going to tell your body to use that energy and build things with it. So, or store that energy for later. So with the stimulus at the gym or doing something that you like doing, resistance training wise, and then tweaking that eating window, and then potentially even just eating more food in general is what I would say.
Yeah, I would look at what Dr. Chafee, look to him, and Dr. Baker. Those guys are eating 2 to 3 to maybe 4 pounds of meat every day. And I saw Van City posted in the chat that they're eating a lot of dairy, a lot of cottage cheese and kefir. I would probably lose the dairy and up the beef. It's worth a try, and maybe look at the priming protocol, because if you've got, if you need to put on muscle mass and bone mass, you may look at the priming protocol over at the Steak and Butter Gang, and just start upping the beef and just start packing it away and lifting heavy things like Ellie said, hitting the gym as often as you can, tearing those muscles down, rebuilding more, and it'll happen. Probably take a little vitamin P too, a little patience, but and just keep working at it. It sounds like you're doing amazing already. And you're just trying to kind of get into the right zone where you want to be. But if you do the right things, your body will be the way it should be. So yeah, that's what I'd go check out Dr. Chafee and Dr. Baker. Maybe get on one of their chats. I know Chafee's on most mornings or most evenings, because he broadcasts a lot in the morning because he's over in Australia. So you can usually catch him on an evening when it's morning there, and ask him.
Yeah, I know Sean Baker used to, and I have a ukulele player in the background here, so sorry if you didn't hear that. But I should probably get going here in 5 or 10 minutes here and give this baby some drums here. But I know he used to post his workouts all the time. I don't know if or maybe that was Instagram more. I'm not on Instagram really much, but anyway, yeah, that's good advice too, because those guys obviously doing something right. Okay, well, I had 2 more quick little questions here. I think we kind of covered one with sauna speeding up the oxalate dumping thing, but if anybody had a comment on that, we could throw that in. I don't know if that
I'm not sure about that one.
would help. I know there are benefits to sauna in general, but as it relates to oxalate dumping, I wouldn't know.
I don't know either.
Because the oxalate is coming out of your fat cells. I'm not sure if sauna, does it make you burn fat? Then, I just don't know about this one. I'm not sure on it.
Well, you don't oxalate dump through your sweat. So
right. It comes
I'm not sure sauna would help, but being in ketosis and being in fat burning mode and burning through body fat, I'm sure that would help.
Yes.
Stevia.
Oh, I was muted. Sorry. Thoughts on stevia? Well, this was the last question that I saw come by.
So I'll say
think-
that I was listening to Dr. Chafee probably about 6 months ago. Dr. Chafee said, if you're drinking coffee now, I started drinking decaf again. Don't judge me. But if you're drinking coffee and using artificial sweeteners, you need to stop both of those immediately. They're not good for you. So I would say it's probably not ideal. I know a lot of people still do have a little bit of sugar-free sweetener, stevia, but it's a plant. And we all know that plants are trying to kill you. So that's probably why he said that, because it comes from a plant. So that's my
So for me personally, I'm happy with the fact that I've given up most of my caffeine. I can't say all, but I used to drink way more caffeine than I'm currently drinking, and I have mostly so I have 1 cup of regular coffee, and then I still drink coffee throughout the day, but it's decaf, and I've stuck to that, and I feel actually pretty good. Like I have a lot more energy throughout the day now that I've kind of gotten used to that. And I do use the Element chocolate salt in that coffee,
so
which
good.
does use stevia. That's the one place that I put it. I don't buy it other than that. Like I don't put it in anything else. So maybe someday, who knows? I mean, I never thought that I would, cut back on my caffeine, and I've cut back severely on my caffeine. So maybe someday I'll, knock out the stevia, but I don't crave sweets. Like it's not, I just enjoy the flavor of that with the coffee. I enjoy that coffee experience, but I'm not going out, okay, now can I find a donut or something else sweet? Like I don't crave sweets. If I want anything, if I'm hungry, I crave meat, ribeye mostly. I was sad because I didn't have one today. I had burger patties and I wanted a ribeye, but it doesn't make me crave sweets. Now, whether the stevia, because it's inherently hurting me because it's a plant, I mean, maybe it is. But for now, I'm still enjoying that.
Very cool. Anybody else have a comment?
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think we'll probably wrap it up here for today. We went about 30 minutes over or so, but this was really cool. We had over 100 people at a couple points in here tonight. So
Nice.
that's fantastic. That's a new record. And thank you to all my panel guests here for your time and input and sharing your channels. And anyone still watching who has not subscribed to any of these channels, make sure you go and do that. Let's support all these people out here sharing their stories and taking time out of their busy evenings to be with us and answer questions. So, and thank you to everybody who was in the chat tonight and watches the replay. I really appreciate all of your input and questions, and we will drop a new poll of the week here in the next couple of days. So look out for that on my channel. And yeah, this was a great time. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again next week, whoever can join. And if you are a creator out there and you want to be a part of this series, you can email me, neahsway@gmail.com, and we'll get you on here too. So thanks, everybody.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you all. Bye.